Coming up on the program, it's time to harvest our potatoes, and we're going to use our garden fork to make that a much easier process. And we'll figure out if the straw bale is really producing as the book says it will. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, heirloom, organic, vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil, retains moisture and adds nutrients, which equals less watering. Available in Sioux organic seed starting kits, pre-filled trays and pots, bag and bulk. Visit SiouxCompost.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose and filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew, 100% organic. Visit ManureTea.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We're in the large garden and it's time to harvest our potatoes. Now we planted these potatoes the last week in April, first week in May. Majority of these potatoes are ready. Now the key to finding out whether your potatoes are ready or not is by simply looking at the stalk. Potatoes do not grow when the soil temperature exceeds 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They'll completely shut off. When they begin to die back, you will notice that they'll flower and then they'll start dying back. And that's an indication that the tubers are at max capacity. They're as large as they're going to get. Now over here, each type of potato is a little different. This one has completely died back, which indicates that it's ready. Now if this is happening very early on in the season, you've got a disease problem. But for our situation here, we're good to go. These are dying back, and it also can be a lack of moisture as well, but we've had, deep down there's enough moisture that shouldn't be a problem. Now, if you're finding on your potatoes, and this is more prevalent on Yukon Golds, little tomato-like hanging fruit, those are poisonous, don't eat those, but those are true potato seeds. Now that can be a challenge if you want to go and experiment with that, but there are seeds inside that potato, or that fruit that looks like a little green tomato. So that's just some of the varieties do provide seed and offspring of that, but your best bet to any type of potato growing is to start with a tuber and then allow the plant to grow that way. So we're using a garden fork. You don't have to use a garden fork. This is the flat tine garden fork. This is not a hay fork. This is designed to move soil and flip soil. You can use a shovel. We choose to use this because we are less susceptible to puncturing or cutting potatoes. You will see us stab a couple potatoes, but it's a lot less chance to do so. So we're just going to start here. We've got potatoes in several different beds here. We've got a number of weeds in the way as well, but we're just going to start right here. I've got a hill here, I've got a hill here, so you just kind of want to go on the outside of where you see the stalk here and gently loosen the soil up. In the process of doing this, you also can extract weeds and remove as many roots as possible, because the weeds will re-germinate or regrow from just fragmentational pieces of root. So let's see what we have here. All right, now this here is one of the blush varieties from Wood Prairie Farms. You can see the blush variety. This is one of their varieties that they actually found on the farm that something had cross-pollinated, but you can see the white potato there. You can see the pink blush as well. So this is one of the more difficult or more time and effort related projects in the garden. digging potatoes. Now, if you grow them in containers, it becomes a much easier process. And as I spoke about, we've already damaged one potato and nicked another. So we can use these relatively quickly. We'll just cut them up very thin and we pan fry them on the grill or on the stove. So it's not a terrible loss there if you do stab some. But using the garden fork, you'll reduce your chances a whole lot more. Instead of stabbing them with a fork, with a shovel, you'd actually be cutting them in half. So we're going to go through and excavate all of the potatoes that we have because they're all dying back. And then we'll come back and give a grade and a result on how we feel our potato patch did this year. Again, a lot of work, but it's a rewarding treasure hunt in the garden for potatoes. All right, so we did the one bed that was next kind of the center of the garden. That's some of the poor soil we have in the garden. And we didn't do incredibly wonderful, but we didn't do horribly bad either. You know, that's a decent size. I'm thinking that's a King Harold. Here's some more blush potatoes. There's a variety of other varieties. Not too terrible bad. Now, what we've noticed this year compared to last year's, we had a decent amount of potatoes last year, but the size was on the small spectrum. Golf ball, maybe tennis ball on a very rare occasion. These are decent sized potatoes. Now, true enough, these are not the same varieties that we planted last year. Now, we're up on the higher end of the garden here, where this row here, about an 11-12 foot row, it's strictly Russian banana fingerling potatoes. Soil composition is completely different up here than it was 30 feet down the garden. And the moisture content is much different as well. And just by that right there, these Russian banana fingerlings appear to be much more prevalent producing potato than, let's see, right there. There's another one. That's the seed potato there, so that's no good. Let's see what else we got just in this little area here. You always want to hit these areas a couple of times just to make sure that we've got as many potatoes. There's one there. Let's go again right there. Yep. And I'll go a third time. I just kicked one up there. There's two more there. You can see how these little ones are just really sneaky when it comes to hiding in the soil. So that's right there. Let's hit this one right here. And the nice thing about using this garden fork, especially with these smaller potatoes, is they'll go right through the tines most of the time. But yeah, the right there's 1, 2, I had one there. Oh, there's one. All right. So just in this little area, we were able to kick up quite a few. So we'll go ahead and dig the rest of these up. But again, it all depends on the variety of the potato, the soil composition, and the moisture. We all know that those are really the three big elements to any productivity of a plant. So we're going to dig these up, then we'll head to the low end of the garden and see what those Russian banana fingerlings and some purple potatoes have done for us. So we got all the potatoes harvested. Now, out of all the jobs in the garden to do, digging potatoes is not one of my favorites. The end result is rewarding, but the effort going into digging them up, it's not the most enjoyable job there is. Now, true enough, if you were in a raised bed or container garden, the job would be much, much easier because you have looser soil than traditional ground soil. But we do have a variety of different sizes, shapes, and textures and colors. Purple potatoes did relatively well. These were saved potatoes that we had from last year that we put in the ground. Just threw 9 potatoes in the ground to see what would happen because they weren't going to grow very good in the kitchen, in the cupboard. So we got a variety of those. The Russian fingerling potatoes, Russian banana fingerlings, appeared to do relatively well, some of the best that we've had. And as I spoke earlier, we didn't have the volume of large potatoes, but we did have the size of large potatoes that we haven't gotten in years past. So we had 1, 2, 2 full beds and 2 partial beds of potatoes. Obviously, you'd want to see 5 or 6 or 7 pounds of potatoes per plant, but we know that's not always going to be the case. So out of all the varieties of potatoes that we planted this year, the variety from Wood Prairie Farms is not the problem. It's the soil that we have here that we'll continue to work on year after year. So nice potatoes I'm happy with. I would give on our end a C+, B-. Wood Prairie Farms, they get an A+ because they have varieties of potatoes that grow anywhere and everywhere. Now, one of the things that will be asked is how can you properly store these potatoes for the best long-term storage. One, you can pressure can these potatoes. They have to be pressure canned. They cannot be water bath. 2, don't clean the potatoes until you're going to use them. Once you clean them with water, then they will start, they'll decay quicker. They'll go away quicker. You can keep them in a cool, dark area away from direct sun as long as you possibly can, in a basement, a root cellar, crawl space, or in a cabinet farthest away from the heat and darkness. These are organic potatoes and they will begin to sprout in a matter of weeks. So it's not a terrible thing if they do sprout. You just knock the eyes off of them and go that route. So we've harvested our potatoes. We're okay with the harvest of potatoes. I'm glad about the size. The volume could be larger, but we all have different things we wish for. So that's our harvest for this year. Growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, whether you have ground to grow in or not. We've got a, what is this, a number 5, number 7? Number 5 grow bag from Groove Trapper 2. Now these are about 9 inches tall. It's got about 8 inches of soil. We're going to plant some carrots. Now, you haven't seen us plant carrots in the ground yet, and we're getting into the later portions of summer. Carrots are more of a cool weather crop and do better whenever it's more cool outside. So carrots take about 70 days to reach maturity, so that'll push right into the end of fall. And we're going to do some in the container here, and then we'll do some other plantings of it around the garden. But the container here, soil is pretty dry, so we're going to go ahead and plant the carrots. These are rainbow blend carrots, which gives you a variety of orange, yellow, white, purple carrots. So we're going to plant them in here, and then we're going to water this in really good. Now the trick to planting carrots is carrots are very, very small in seed. So what we'll do here is we will plant a number of carrots, broadcasting them, and then we will come back once they are about 2 to 3 inches tall, come back and thin them out for to 1 for every 2 to 3 square inches. Now I'm going to overseed this to make sure we do get good germination. And then, I'll just go ahead and put all of them in there, because then we can thin them out. Take a little soil here, cover them over. And now you don't want to really mulch this because these have to come up. Now if we were planting something like green beans or peppers where we can put the plant in, then we can mulch around it, that's fine. But we'll come back here in about 2 or 3 weeks, thin these out once they have germinated. We'll water this in right away here. And then in 70 days we'll be able to harvest them. The key to growing carrots is you don't need a tremendous amount of depth, but you do need 8 to 10 inches of soil, and you need to be loose and fluffy soil. Otherwise you're going to get carrots that's hooked, or if you get carrots that are split, that can be a sign of too much nitrogen in the soil, as well as hairy carrots. So you want to make sure there's adequate moisture in the soil so the carrots will grow correctly. So growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, whether you have ground to grow in or not. So this is our onion patch, and it's time to harvest some of the onions. Now we did planting onions quite differently than we have in the years past. We started our seeds indoors as always. We did them in a 9 by 20 flat, or one of the black trays. We put compost or potting soil in it, and we broadcasted our seeds. And then that was in January. When it was time to bring them out in the garden, late March, early April, we planted them in this bed. Now we have a variety of different sizes of bulbs. To many of you, you may say, well, these seem very tiny. Well, that is a good observation. That is a true observation. But what we have established for our experience is that we now understand how to start them from seed and bring them out in the garden and get them to grow throughout the growing season. Now, once your onion's in the garden fall over, the tops fall over, that is an indication that the onion is no longer going to grow anymore. You can pull it out, lay it on the ground, let it cure. You can also bring it inside. Now for those onions that are still vertical top growth, you can take, from all indications from research that I have done, in order to get the bulb larger, once they reach about 9 or 10 inches high, you can take and cut them back to half the height, and then that will put more growth in the bulb as it puts on more top growth. Now, whenever the top reaches another 6 or another 12 inches, you can do that again. You can do this up to 3 times, and this, from research, shows that this will increase the bulb size. Many of these sizes of bulbs are golf ball and tennis ball size. True enough, that is not, large as possible. Now, this is a decent size onion here. That's a baseball size nearly onion there. But that's one way to increase the size of your onion bulbs if they're still vertical and their tops have not fell over yet. But, this is something that encourages us because, like I said, we understand now the procedure, the start from seed, and methods that we had done in the past were not being as successful. But we planted 112 onions, and the majority, 90% of them, have grown to some size. So I'm going to go through here, and anything that has top growth, I'm going to cut back. You can use those for onion greens or whatever you choose to do so. And then we'll come in here and we'll harvest the ones that are ready to be harvested. But we're going to try this and see if that will help increase the bulb size for those that are still vertical and still ready and still growing. So increasing your bulb size, cut the tops of the greens off, and that should help increase that bulb size. So this is our straw bale. For those of you who may be new to the series, you can grow in a straw bale just like you would in a traditional ground garden, raised bed garden, or container garden. The book was courtesy of Joel Karsten, who we met in Madison and talked with. The book goes through the ways to properly cure and condition the straw bale. This is just regular straw. There is such thing as organic straw, but this is just traditional remains of wheat stubble. The plant, this is the byproduct of what is left after the combine goes through. There's oat straw, sugarcane straw, wheat straw, and a variety of other different straws that can be used in this application. We have 2 zucchini plants in this straw bale, and we have 2 cucumber plants. What we have found here is really 1 zucchini plant was probably adequate for this, and the zucchini, or the cucumbers, we had 1 die out here. We've got 2 that came up here. Not really a big deal because they're going to crawl up this trellis. We have harvested a couple of zucchini off of our zucchini plants, and we've got more coming on. One thing, that whenever it was very warm here for about a week and a half in the 80-degree range and we had no precipitation, these plants became very dry. The bale became dry and we had to water it, and then the zucchini came back. But for most times, for most growing periods, this bale acts as a sponge and holds the moisture in as you water, as it rains, and it's elevated off the ground. So if you have mobility issues, this would be the ideal application. People do these with dozens and sometimes hundreds of square bales in a row or in a fashion of like raised beds would be set up. Now, straw bales, if you're looking at this being something that you want to do next year, straw bales based on your region can cost anywhere from $2 to $8, and you will need some kind of a truck to get them to your garden. Now, you can maybe get a couple in your trunk depending on how ambitious you are and the type of vehicle you are going to put them in and how you feel about that. But one of the problems we did face with this is we had remnants of the squash vine borer moth, and we saw that there was a hole there where the larva was laid, and there was larva in there, so I took a pocket knife and dug it out, and we'll have to check on it in the next couple of days to make sure that no more larva is in there. But once we were able to dig that out, it's not going to be a problem. Now, what else can you, we got zucchini and cucumbers in this straw bale. Well, what else can you plant in straw bales? Anything that you can put in the ground, in a container, or in a raised bed. The limitations are endless. One thing I will warn you about is if you do a root crop such as potatoes, you're going to have to virtually destroy the bale in order to extract most of the potatoes, and that may not be something you want to do is for a number of straw bales or square bales. Now with this application here, we'll be able to leave this bale where it is, come back next year, condition it again if need be, and plant in it something else, peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, whatever the case is. So just one thing to keep in mind, that if you don't want to do a traditional ground garden, or you don't want to dig your ground up, build a raised bed, or you are unable to based on your living conditions, straw bale gardening may be the answer, and it does work as the book has instructed if you follow the instructions of the book. Thanks for watching. Join us again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joey Barrett, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewwisconsinvegetablegardener.com.